John Kreese is one of the most interesting characters I've ever encountered in the realm of mainstream media. Kreese is a complicated person, and that only fleshes him out and gives him more dimensions, making this fictional character's transformation from villain to anti-hero, and at times, depending on your perspective, hero. Shut up, he's a god! Because during the writing and editing stages of my last video, Cobra Kai Season 6 Part 1 was released. And that made me think. It made me think about John Kreese, about his father-son relationship with Johnny Lawrence, his near ironclad grip on Terry Silver's reality, how he could warp and bend the man's fragile state of mind, causing him to revert back in the twig, trapped in the cage with the fear and stench of death surrounding him. All with a simple mention of traumatic experiences in Vietnam. I thought about his father-daughter relationship with Tori and the parallels it holds between Johnny and himself. I started thinking about Cobra Kai and the concept of strike first, strike hard, no mercy. And the more I thought about it, the more I realized how terrifying something so simple can have such an emotional and psychologically altering effect on our minds, and that resonated with me. I think what brought me back to John Kreese and my eagerness in seeing where his story continued was this unnerving idea that kept creeping back, burning itself into the chipped and rotting hardwood stage that is the burnt-out neuroreceptors of my mind. I'm not even certain if this is an idea or a truth about us as human beings. I don't know about you, but when I see John Kreese, I see me. I see you and everyone else living among us right now in real time. John Kreese is a reflection of what happens when we've endured too much suffering. And we've all felt this way before, that slithering, screaming darkness, crawling around the deepest, blackest regions of our brain, that suffocating feeling of pure anger, rage, and pain, drifting, swimming, waiting for its moment to take the light and seize control of you. Then I started thinking about the Miyagi, yes I said the Miyagi, and the Karate Kid, then Jackie Chan, and Jaden Smith's version of the Karate Kid, but surprise, none of it's based on karate. Oh ho ho ho! Yeah, my very confused friend, watching, wondering, Jay, why are you talking about the minor differences that most audiences would never care about? What does this have to do with Kreese? Why am I putting so much focus on this? Because karate isn't kung fu. I'm just confused, movie. Why are you nothing like the Karate Kid? But you are? I mean, what? But if you watch the movie, it weirdly works? That doesn't make sense. And I'm sorry I put you through it. I'm not sorry. That's right. I'm not actually sorry I put you through this, but you clicked on the video, meaning you know what I'm like. I love you. When I last left John Kreese, it was at the finale of Season 5, where he had just escaped from prison through subtly manipulating the prison psychiatrist in order to steal her key card, and faking his death using Jello. He used Jello. I don't know how the guard who found him on the ground didn't notice that. Not to mention there was only one spot of red that was on Kreese's shirt. But the scene before clearly shows Kreese being stabbed multiple times. And while efficient with the homemade prison cutlery, I doubt our bearded friend here is capable of pinpoint precision to the level that Kreese's single-stain prison top presents. I just realized that John Kreese's use of Jello might be related to Solid Snake's usage of ketchup in a escape plan to break out of prison. I'm not even sure why that connection bothers me, but it does. No, There's no way. It can't be connected. Oh my God. Solid Snake is a special operations soldier. Kreese is also a special operations soldier. They were both in Vietnam around the same time period, established in both separate universe continuities. What? What is going on? No, seriously. The Cobra Kai logo is a cobra. What is a cobra? It's a snake! What is the main character of Metal Gear named? Snake! It's all connected. What have I discovered? Is Snake from Metal Gear using the dreaded and lethal Tang Sudo from Master Kim? How did I even get here? What is going on? Freely walking out of the prison into the darkness, only to reappear in Korea and emerging from the shadows like the demon he is, announces to the students training that Cobra Kai is back. Through a conversation with Kim Dae-yoon, he discovered his old master Kim Song-young is still alive. Wait a second, how is he alive? Maybe it's magic, or perhaps a sacred blood ritual using the members of his students as vessels so he can never die under natural circumstances. Or not, because it's explained. The answer to this question is given by Master Kim himself, stating that he is still alive because of his granddaughter's incompetence. Now, you have to think for a second about the gravity of what this man has just said. His disappointment in the failures of his granddaughter are metaphorically and possibly physically sustaining this man. I just want everyone to understand the extent of this man's callous and never-ending abyss of cold malice he embodies. It's the very fact which makes his lessons all the more terrifying when you realize he's actually right. The world is a cold, dark, and lonely place, and this world is a world where the strong prey on the weak. The world will show you no mercy. So why should you? That is the lesson Kreese learns in the cave. Among another one, but I'll get to that in a second, and I needed another segue to get to the cave in the first place, and I didn't have a good one. In episode 2 of season 6, titled The Prize, Master Kim orders Kreese to recover his family unjangdo. What is an unjangdo? A knife. A knife? Is that how you say it? Why are K's silent? That's stupid. Unjangdo is a knife. There, that was easy. Explanation over. Oh my God, you're gonna make me do it, In the Joseon dynasty, circa 1392 to 1897, both Korean men and women carried changdo, an ornamental knife and a sheath mostly worn inside of clothing. However, what makes the unjangdo unique is the strong symbolism carrying one represents. For women, it was a symbol of unwavering fidelity and filial duty to their family, and for men, the unjangdo was a symbol of loyalty. I don't know why I decided to dedicate a portion of this video to the history and the significance of unjangdos. More importantly, maybe the importance of Korean culture associated with it. Maybe it's because I'm Korean? Maybe? I think. The verdict isn't out on that one. Or perhaps it's because I'm one of the many Koreans separated from my country of origin. Or maybe it's because the origin of Cobra Kai karate is Korean, giving the entire series and movie franchise a different angle or lens, haha, see what I did there, for me to view it through. Whatever the reason, I had to figure out a way to distract you long enough to re-segue us back to the cave. But before we find out what Kreese discovered in the cave, it's the unjangdo. Kim Dae-yoon gave him a map, so it's not like it was hard to find. Now, you may be thinking, Jay, why is Master Kim sending Kreese off to his death to recover a knife? That's something Master Ken would do. Oh, who's Master Ken? That's another video entirely. I wondered the same thing when I was yelling at the screen, because at this point, you have to remember, I've spent months diving into Cobra Kai and the character of Kreese. So for me, watching Master Kim send Kreese on a fucking fetch quest more suitable for WoW level 1 filthy casuals, I was genuinely concerned they were going to kill him off. And it's not like it wouldn't make sense. However, once again, this takes us back to the cave. Because what I saw Kreese experience in the cave, honestly, it made me uncomfortable. When I first saw this cave, it reminded me of the cave on Dagobah from Star Wars. You know, the one Luke walked into, fighting and killing Vader, only to be revealed later that it was Luke underneath the helmet. Now, how is that similar to what Kreese experiences in this cave? Well, there's a cave, and both characters face something in that cave which is pivotal in changing the way that character thinks and how the audience perceives them. So that's a similarity. Okay, you're probably wondering when I'm going to talk about what happens to Kreese in the cave. And I never thought I'd say this, but I'm going to because my producer tells me it's important. I'm not sure why. But you know what? No, I'm not saying it. Shut up, internet. I'll do what I want. I don't need to adhere to your rules. I am the god of my own domain. For I shall rule. Oh. Okay, YouTube. I'll be good. Or not, cause you clicked on this video. You know I will talk about things that happen, even if it spoils everything, because it's literally what I do. Go watch the show. What are you doing? Why are you listening to me still? I am nothing but a character screaming at you through the void of space and time. How do you even know I'm telling you the truth? I'm just some idiot on the internet with a microphone who figured out how to use a video editing program. I'm not even actually speaking to you now. I'm just a bodiless pre-recorded stream of hyper-focused consciousness directly transmitting into your pulsing jelly meat that is your Brian. Oh my god. Am I real? Is anyone else? When Kreese enters the cave, we see him come across Master Kim's Unjangdo. However, blocking the path between the two lies a white cobra. Now, this doesn't carry the same significance in the West as it does in countries like China, Japan, and Korea. I'm not talking about the adaptations, changing it from the cautionary tale that it is to the overly unrealistic romantic interpretation, although it is based in romance. No, I'm not talking about the Legend of the White Snake, and no, I'm not gonna go into a long tangent about the Legend of the White. The Legend of the White Snake can be summarized as the cautionary tale, a very sensual and enticing, but still, a cautionary tale. It's a story about a man who falls in love with a woman, who upon drinking some Realgar wine, it's revealed the woman he fell in love with is actually a 1,000-year-old white snake spirit. This ultimately kills the man at the shock of her true form. It's a warning for young men to not be lured in by beautiful women of unknown origins, and why giving in to base desires can have disastrous consequences. In other words, if you show weakness, you will be defeated in battle and in life. When Kreese attempts to take the Unjangdo, the snake bites him, sending him into a hallucination-induced fever dream, and this is one of the worst snakes you could possibly be bitten by. The white cobra is considered one of the most venomous snakes in the world, its venom being capable of causing paralysis and death if not immediately taken to a hospital and having anti-venom administered. The fact that Kreese is alive and capable of what I'm about to cover next is absolutely outworldly. It's almost supernatural. As the snake's venom courses through his veins, the poison burning its way through his capillary vessel's outer membrane, he sees his old friend, now enemy Terry Silver, the faded memory of his former self and current self merging and twisting into a metamorphosis of terror and psychological rewiring that exists in the minds of us all. Silver tells him that he now understands, and as one scene pans around, Kreese's true weakness is revealed. The ghost of Johnny Lawrence faces his old sensei and asks him if he understands. And for the first time, he does. He understands that the only time he ever felt fear was for Johnny. And the only time he ever showed mercy was for him. He recognizes how he threw away and disregarded the core tenets of Master Kim's Tang Soo Do, the way of the fist. He had forgotten that way, all because of Johnny. And now we see the evolution of Kreese through his own eyes and mind. We see him in a brutal display, a statement made to the conscious and the subconscious parts of his mind, his heart and his spirit, that he will surgically remove any and all weakness, and that no mercy is not only a lesson for fighting, it's a lesson for life. He solidifies this message by beating Johnny in hand-to-hand combat and snapping his neck. He returns to the White Cobra after this exhausting encounter. He kneels down and looks the snake in the eyes and strikes first. Kreese returns with the Unjangdo to Master Kim and states it's not about the prize, but it's about eliminating what stands in the way. Master Kim, pleased with his student passing his lesson, says that they are finally ready and that nothing will stand in their way. And then it hit me. Cobra Kai is not only the dark reflection of the values and lessons Miyagi-Do and the Karate Kid has expressed throughout the years and into pop culture. Why am I talking about this? I know. I want to talk about Quan too, but hold on. This whole dark reflection between Miyagi-Do and Cobra Kai expands past an entertaining karate soap opera and far beyond the minds of men and women who dedicate their lives to honoring ancient history of our ancestors by training in the arts, forging themselves into something more that they themselves or anyone ever expected. The philosophies of Cobra Kai apply to every aspect of our life, in every conversation, confrontation, and moment in our lives. What scares me about this is that nobody in the world is one or the other. We all tend to drift towards the hard logic-driven, merciless, and ruthless way of thinking. And at the same time, we all can be kind, show love and compassion, even in the strangest of moments, in the unlikeliest of places. And that's what scares me. It's the thought of when you look around your fellow men and women, your family, your friends, somewhere, deep down, every one of them are a version of John Kreese. And what's more horrifying is that you, me, and everyone watching is too. Every one of us is simultaneously a great person and the worst human to ever walk this earth. Because to the people you know now, you could be great, kind, wholesome, and a shining example of humanity. But what about the people you wronged? Every one of us has made mistakes and done bad things to people. Do you think those people think of you in the same way your current friendships and relationships do? Do you think they understand? Do you think they chalk it up to mistakes of your past? Or you were a different person then? It doesn't excuse the fact that you did that. And furthermore, is that even true? Are you a different person now than you were back then? Can you really change? And if you can, did you change for the better or for worse? How would you even know that? That in itself is a subjective statement. That you can only rely so much on your own information. And a lot of it is in how people view you. And once again, we find ourselves talking about perspective because unfortunately, people's public perception, their perspective, combined with your own perception, your perspective of how we view ourselves individually and our own self-image is forever intertwined in a completely ever-evolving landscape of pitfalls, roadmaps, and alterations, some of which we are not even consciously aware of. I want you to really think about that, because that's what I kept thinking about. when the similarities of Miyagi-Do and Cobra Kai started to blend and merge into one another. Do people actually know you? Not the superficial mask we all wear, this impossibly perfect artificial representation of what we want the world to see us as. I'm talking about the real you. Because everyone looks decent enough until you peel back the layers of who they are and expose what's buried underneath. And if they accept you at your most benevolent and kind to your most evil and monstrous, what does that say about them? What's worse, the monster or the ones who feed it? For you see, the heart of darkness is not a random occurrence, but it is built through suffering, through pain, through agony. Oh, damn it. Oh, shit. That's a different video entirely. Watch this guy. He did an entire series, and honestly, I can't explain that any better than he could, so I won't. I'll just let you watch Max's video, and yeah, everyone's happy. I don't know Max, but he does great work, and you should check him out because I said so? Shit, what was I talking about? Oh, Quan. Yeah, okay. Quan Jae Sung is the hot-headed, disrespectful, and extraordinarily talented student who Kreese takes notice of. And at first, Kim Daeun doesn't quite understand his methods, which include a group punishment carrying heavy sacks of water all day, with Kreese doing what but telling the class that this is because of Quan. And for the rest of the video, I'm gonna call him Jae Sung because the Korean side of my brain is violently spasming around my skull when I force myself to refer to him as his last name. Because in Korea and how we work, our last names or family name is first, followed by our name. So there you go. Another lesson in Korea for no reason. I'm not sorry I did any of that. When Jae Sung confronts Kreese, that part of the episode is where I feel this sick, creeping smile gently peeling through the layers of hard metal and cut-proof fabrics of my mask. I can almost hear this shiny, slimy, slithering quiet movement in the silence. And after pausing the episode, leaving myself in the dark glow of my monitor, my mind darted frantically through the entire franchise. The connections started to form. How is Kreese doing this? He trapped Jae Sung so expertly with his words and subterfuge, it's almost as if his power of altering a person's perception is so powerfully convincing. He did this to Johnny. He did this to Tori. He did this to Hawk, to Robbie. Kreese tells Jae Sung in a pivotal scene by the fire.
Just take all that anger inside you and give it purpose.
After singling him out, punishing him, humiliating him, was it really all that? Or was it a master sensei forging his student through the very lesson Kreese learned in the cave? The lesson that he didn't teach Johnny. The true way of the fist. Jae Sung destroys, and I mean completely destroys, the students and former top student Yoon Doo-jin under the heavy influence of Kreese's lessons and turning anger into purpose, into power. His ferocity combined with his raw savagery and his techniques are as graceful to gaze upon as they are punishing for the ones receiving them. His body language, his attacks, even how he looks around is altered. What we are seeing is Jae Shinn physically being corrupted by the way of the fist, his mind molding and morphing the philosophies of Cobra Kai, insidiously weaving their way into the farthest regions. Like an alien creature's slippery tentacles enrapturing its prey inside the proverbial Venus flytrap. Jae Shinn has fallen victim to the King Snake. You would think after successfully transforming Jae Shinn from a rebellious, angry student with endless potential into a focused and highly dangerous fighter would be enough. But you'd be wrong. There is one more piece of this puzzle, one last ingredient, which when added will complete the new Cobra Kai roster. And the final piece, that final piece we are talking about now, and earlier, and back to now, that was kind of weird, is Tori Nichols. He says he's removing the last remaining shred of his humanity from his soul, detaching himself from the very constructs that make us human. Based on his previous history, I'd normally be inclined to believe him, but the more I thought about Kreese truly removing his weaknesses, I'm not actually sure it happened. I don't think his weakness was Johnny Lawrence, and I don't think it's Tori. I think Kreese's weakness is the fact that he's a good man, and the fact that he's aware that he's a good man. And what's worse is that while he knows he needs to be better, he doesn't remember how to be one. And that fact made me think. We all associate evil with these snarling, malevolent monsters, masked, knife-wielding murderers, cosmic, tentacle that— Wait, what? What is this? Why does it exist? I don't even know if this is horror or someone dumping stupid amounts of money into making a live action. But what is horrifying? I ask you. Is it the evil monster who only knows evil, so it can only do evil deeds? Or is it the hero who lived long enough to become the villain? And what if that hero remembers they used to be good, and then the damning, heartbreaking realization starts to sink in, when we all realize that our hero is so permanently altered that they can never return, that every good deed is tainted by the corrupted heart and mind, a mind forever tarnished, forged in the fires of abuse and untold horror, participating in something as mentally scarring as war. I think if we ask ourselves this question, we will find our own answers are pretty shocking. What is more horrifying? The one-dimensional evil being? Or the one who retains all the memories, all the experiences, all the pain of life, and slowly drift further into the abyss? We are all drifting into this abyss. It stares at us. It speaks to us in those moments of silence and solitude. And it's in those moments where you can hear the hypnotic siren's song laced with a serpent's hiss. We all experience this feeling, this venom. There's an old saying that most people misunderstand the meaning behind. No good deed goes unpunished. Every good deed costs the giver of this deed. They must sacrifice something of theirs to help another. Every time you do good in the world for your fellow man, as instructed by your parents, teachers, friends, and even the media shows you this very concept as a child. But unfortunately, helping people can be the worst thing you can do, because you honestly don't know who that person is. None of us do. I don't know you, and you truly do not know me. Are you a good person? Am I a good person? Why should anyone help me? Help you? Help the world?
Breathe. Like I'm already dead.
When all it will do
Breathe. It's okay. I'm not gonna fucking
is rob you of your possessions,
die if I'm already dead. I'll get back to the point of speaking.
your respect, your namesake, your honor.
I can feel myself.
So,
Do I really?
why be good when you can be yourself? When I think about Kreese and Tori's relationship, I often find myself thinking about the interview William Zabka did when he spoke about how he saw the relationship between Tori and Kreese.
I'll tell you, I love Tori and Kreese and this relationship that's happened in the show. I adore it. It's like, he's kind of it really mirrors the Johnny Kreese relationship and the father-daughter of it almost, and father-son of it as most. You know, she's on a different end of it. She's wise to him quicker and not so ready to take him back. Johnny's got a longer history of being burned and burned and burned again, where Kreese even took Cobra Kai away from him, and he's just, you know, completely disillusioned with who Kreese is and wants nothing to do with him ever again. But Tori also you have such a great story, and you did such a great job with what happens to your character and why and where she leans and how Kreese is a source of something else maybe for you. But I love that relationship that you have, and it brings out something in Kreese that we don't get to see often. You see a real nurturing paternal side of him that you don't know if you can quite trust, but it's earnest at least. And that's what gets your eye, I think. So, I don't know, that's my opinion, but I really love the mirror of Johnny and Kreese, and the triangle really of Tori and Kreese. It's very similar, but different.
Tori and Kreese's relationship mirrors the relationship between Johnny and Kreese himself. Tori brings out a more nurturing side of him, however. And while you can't exactly trust it, it appears sincere. It's not real. I'm telling you right now, it's not real. He is evil as shit. It's nothing but a suspension of disbelief. And suspension of disbelief is a powerful tool in the hands of an expert performer. Because I find myself wanting to believe him. Tori is a very damaged young woman. And throughout the show, we see her and Kreese develop a father-daughter relationship. No, not that kind you have tabbed in your browser. Why do so many people do deviant sexual acts with my videos playing? And that father-daughter relationship is one that I cannot trust after the cave and everything that is John Kreese. I'm not confident he's even capable of showing true compassion and love. It's like his mind is forever hardwired to look at life in terms of warfare. And it's not like we don't see him trying to do the right thing.
It was an accident. I don't need to cheat to win.
Come on, that's not fair. I got second place. Second place is no place. You're off the team. You're nothing. You're lost. You're a loser.
This is why I felt like Kreese may feel the same fear and mercy of Johnny. Yet no matter how he tries, he cannot stop being this all-consuming phenom, not the Undertaker, that he has become. He reminds Tori that she is the Queen Cobra, a name she wore with pride. And while furious with Kreese, she doesn't call the police or tell the rest of Miyagi-Do that he's returned. Why? Why didn't she tell them? What sick, twisted loyalty does she feel towards him? Could it be that even in his acts of humanity, all we see is a master of mental alchemy transforming Tori's world in front of her very eyes? I think Kreese does care for Tori, but I don't think he cares about her more than he cares about Cobra Kai and his own legacy, stained with the bodies, hearts, and minds of his students. But now, this is where I kept coming back to the interview mentioned earlier with William Zabka, where he said Tori doesn't buy into Kreese as easily as Johnny did, because there wasn't a long history between them. While this is true, it makes the following scene even more unnerving the more I thought about it. Tori is far more aware than Johnny was to Kreese's Palpatine-like, I call them palps, prodding and clawing inside the intertwining caverns and tunnels that is Tori's psyche.
When something bad happens, You have two choices. You let it tear you down, or you let it build you up. Sometimes a step backwards opens a new path forward.
So for Tori to rejoin Cobra Kai after the legitimate physical and psychological torture she endured through Kim Dae-yoon. Remember, she made her punch stone until she broke her hand because she had a boyfriend. What kind of psychotic person is attracted to... Damn, she cute though. She fun. What her DM look like? I think things have gotten away from me a little. And after the death of her mother, I swear to God, if I find out Kreese killed Tori's mother, it would make so much sense. It would bind all this crazy, disjointed madness I'm forcing you all to suffer through. What? That's it? The evidence we are using to link Kreese's potential murder of Tori's mom is when the camera pulls back, revealing she's making a fist. That's so stupid. So why does it make sense? I think I know why. Cobra Kai is a silly show.
Hey, the chicks are gonna love this.
Hey, too much.
You gotta get into every groove. It's about molding highlights to emphasize curvature.
Hi. My pronouns are she, her.
The only pronouns we accept in this dojo are sensei and student.
Those are nouns.
Oh, I'm sorry. I think what I meant to say was quiet!
But inside that universe of outrageous, silly, and almost unrealistic plot lines, I always remember that Cobra Kai is a drama.
This kid. I thought I could take him under my wing. Be the mentor I wish I had when I was younger. But when I saw him today, it's like looking in a mirror. And I had all this hate inside of me. For you and for Miguel. And I thought I could use Cobra Kai to control that. But it just made things worse, and now it's never gonna get better.
You had a good thing going with LaRusso. I got in the way of that. Don't blame yourself, you blame me.
I'm sick of blaming you, Dad.
And its capabilities as one are never missed because I truly love this show. But I can also admit that at its core, it's a soap opera with karate. And boxing, taekwondo, kung fu, mixed martial arts, kickboxing, Muay Thai, hell, even jiu-jitsu gets a mention. Did I mention I'm a white belt in jiu-jitsu? We all gotta start somewhere. And that's the reason why something as Tori's mom making a fist in their death scene, with Tori later being stopped in her fight with Sam for her place in the ScytedTV. A fight her mother would have wanted her to do because of this scene while Tori is grieving the loss of her mother on the floor in the dark. She looks at the cap, colored purple, and we get a glimpse into Tori's past, and a memory is revealed. Tori's father left when she was young. We see Tori and her mom talking about a picture she drew, a mermaid princess. Her mother and a mermaid prince. Tori's mom says they don't need a prince because they can learn to fight for themselves. And Tori takes this memory as something sincere from her mother. And combined with the fact that she had an abusive father, was have Tori cling onto this idea of having someone to love her and give her direction to make up for the father she never had in life. She is very formidable and skilled physically, but it's her mind. That need, that longing for a place that every one of you on this planet longs for. A place where we can be loved and feel safe with someone we will always know loves us and will protect us. That same idea, the concept of a grand protector, it led her to Robbie. And that's another video unto itself. But if I just go over the broad strokes, Robbie comes from a single-parent household like Tori, like Kreese. They both have absent fathers, and both had to play caretaker to their mothers. I know Tori is taking care of her mom who died because of cancer or Kreese, but that's a similarity worth mentioning, I think. I'll explain later. Maybe. Robbie comes from an abusive household with 2 alcoholic parents. Johnny failed him on day 1, sitting in a diner, consumed by his fear, unable to go welcome his newborn son into the world. Only for 16 years later, he would return into his life, and his mother, a manipulative, jaded, and selfish woman who was more concerned with going out drinking and meeting new boyfriends than spending time with him. Even when he makes attempts to sway her, instead of staying, she guilt trips her son into why she has the right to leave him. Again. Alone. In their apartment. No money, no food, no electricity. Leaving him to fend for himself. Robbie is used to picking up the pieces, and so is Tori. Tori and Robbie got together because she found something she needed, but they called that thing they discovered love. Well, it's a lie. This is emotional attachment built through trauma. That is not a relationship. And if you pay close attention, that relationship itself was manipulated and used for Kreese's own agendas, especially in seasons 3 and 4, like we discussed. Or maybe I didn't. There was a lot in that first video, and there's other things I want to talk about when it comes to Cobra. But Robbie we need to talk about for a moment when he is shadowboxing in episode 5, Best of the Best. We see him experiencing something Kreese warned him and Johnny about. And what I'm talking about is his lesson about winning and losing, how it matters, and how a victory or a defeat can forever alter the course of one's life. This is chilling. When I first saw Robbie going through these flashbacks, haunted by the fact he lost in the All Valley, going through exactly what Kreese described. Then, it all made sense. Robbie is Johnny. Tori is Johnny. Robbie and Tori are just the latest pieces of collateral damage in Kreese's never-ending wake of treachery and tyranny. And what's more, even unnerving, is that he told everyone what would happen. It appears from even the earliest of seasons, Kreese was right. Has he always been right? And then sometimes she did things for Terry Silver, but that didn't work out very well because she was and has always and will always be aligned with Kreese. It makes all the sense in the world why the teachings of Cobra Kai, the way of the fist, and Master Kim's lifelong lesson of no mercy, and eliminating any and everything that stands in your way would apply to Tori. All Tori wanted was to be loved and feel safe. She thought she found it in Miyagi-Do. But the moment when Daniel forced Tori to stop fighting Sam in their fight determining the ScytedTV spot as we talked earlier, it honestly leaves her with one choice left. Yeah, that's right. In her grief-stricken mind, she reaches out for the one person she can trust. The King Snake himself. John Kreese. Even though she is clearly doing this for her own self-interest, there is no possible way Kreese had not already factored this into his plans for the former All-Valley champion. Or I could be thinking too much into something that isn't there, and Kreese killed her mom because he knew it was the most effective way to use her grief and anger over the death, using her and forcing her to return to the clutches of Cobra Kai, playing into the elaborate fifth dimension chess. That's right, I said fifth, not fourth. Fifth! We have ascended into the new valley of unknowns and unimaginable horror, where the John Kreese is actually the singular character of this universe of the Karate Kid Cobra Kai franchise that it's built around of. Oh my fucking God, what have I done? Nobody in this show has a chance, do they? Season 6, Part 2 of Cobra Kai airs on November 28th, and I am very much looking forward to seeing what Kreese does in the rest of Season 6 in 2025. Remember, everything you see on the internet is a lie, including this.